Welcome to Live Crypto, the second hardest working channel in crypto.
Looking dead center.
Yeah, mate. Okay, so
Got back.
Oh, fuck it.
Sorry, welcome back.
We can put this in the outtakes at the end.
Yeah, just put it right back.
So yeah, welcome back to Live Crypto.
It's been a while.
It has been a while. Yeah, it has been a while. Obviously, Leo and Tim. Just wanted to talk about a few projects that we've been working on recently. Mainly, Leo's been working on a project called Retrophones, which is an exciting new technology. So, if you could just explain a bit, what is Retrophones?
Yeah, of course. So it's good to be back. It's been a couple of years, 3 years since we
been a
last
while.
filmed. So
It's been a while.
excuse us. But yeah, so Retrophones is a collection of 2,222 16-bit pixel art NFTs with a kind of difference to what NFTs normally are.
Okay, the difference. Explain to
The
me.
difference. So, well, it all comes down to where this evolved from, what it came from. So we started back in 2021 with when NFTs were all the craze. Everybody was buying pictures of Bored Apes and Utes and all these different crazy frogs. All these different NFTs were going crazy, and we were designing some pixel art NFTs because we kind of liked what CryptoPunks had done when they started back in 2016, and we thought the pixel art
It looks cool.
looks cool.
It looks
Looks
cool.
good.
We like the style.
Yeah. So how's it different? Getting
Yeah.
on to the actual question is, we have taken NFTs and looked to build a utility that is far different to IP rights. So rather than just giving someone intellectual property of their NFT, we thought, how can we actually generate value from an NFT? What can actually bring value to people that could potentially use it in the future to store assets on? And that's where Retrophones essentially allows people to establish a communication channel between NFTs, so a way of storing data, sending data, communicating, and in the future sending files, storing video, MP4s, so you could use it for contracts and various other things.
That's cool. So this is a new technology where your NFTs can actually send messages between each other.
Yes.
That's cool.
So it's kind of like when we started with Retrophones, it was like using nostalgic mobile phones, and then like you and me remember from the 90s or the early 2000s.
What are you saying?
What are you saying? Fucking what are you saying? So back then it was sending text messages, and when text messages first came out, everyone was like, "Oh, this is a fad. Who's gonna send a message of text?
A lot.
Why not just call somebody?"
It was like 10p, wasn't it? 10p a text.
10p a text, and you could send like 100 characters or 80 characters.
It was nothing.
On the old Nokias, the old Sony Ericssons. So anyway, when we initially came up with that concept, it was like, how can we make this into an NFT? And then it evolved to like, oh well, why don't we send text messages through?
Thought it'd be cool.
Thought it'd be cool.
Is it possible to send text from an NFT to another NFT?
Yeah, it started off as something that could be completely pointless, but then evolved into something far greater.
Yeah. So you've actually applied for patents for the technology, the underlying code.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
So the patent initially filed in November 2021, and went to see HLK in Bristol, which are a great group of patent attorneys, and had this incredible guy who kind of advised me accordingly and said, look, what you've got here is pretty cool, but how we put this onto paper is another story.
Yeah. And
then we kind of looked, we initially filed 30 claims for all the various different ways of sending and storing data and the different ways in which you could communicate on the blockchain.
Yeah. Also
looking at cross platforms, Ethereum, Solana, Cardano, Tezos, Dogecoin. Bitcoin.
So it's going to have interoperability, or it'll just be different chains?
Yeah, so initially we're going to launch on, it has now evolved to be Dogecoin, which I'll kind of roll back on. But to start with, we were going to go with Ethereum. Long story short, the cost on Ethereum, gas prices, it wasn't viable because we hadn't developed the tech at that time, and it would also be NFTs had fallen off a cliff. So it's like, who's going to spend money sending messages on NFTs when the market right now, or for the last few years, has been pretty dead.
If I got the right idea, this was more like community-based, community-driven. It was a fun project, something that you wanted to work on. So you didn't want the people buying them to be screwed out of $30 just to even get the NFT in the first place. Until
we had it as a viable product, it was like, who's going to want to spend money on something when we don't even know what it is yet?
Yeah.
And I think that's where we've kind of just started growing from.
Yeah. So now it's gone past that. Now it has launched on Doge. And so the messages, you said, obviously we've covered that it sends messages, but you mentioned a minute ago about storing files.
Yes.
What's the storing files? Because that's interesting.
So that's where we're going to evolve to be. That's where we want the evolution of Retrophones to get to. Okay. Right now, we're just going to store messages on DRC20 on chain, and then essentially use the sender's public address to send the message.
Oh, like your phone number.
Like your phone number, which is
your wallet address.
Your wallet address. Yeah. You can imagine if you could short it and have it as a phone number. Yeah. That could be something. But right now, we are looking and we are creating a DApp. So we're going to have our own decentralized application that will enable people to have a back-end access into their NFT. And then right now they'll be able to broadcast messages to anybody of the collection.
That's cool.
Or they will be able to send private messages between NFT holders. But this is all going to evolve into many different things.
Okay. How many of these NFTs were there?
So now on Doge, we've got 2,222 to begin with.
Yeah.
And then as we go cross-chain, we'll look to do similar amounts. It may not be Retrophones at that time, and this could evolve to other collections using it. Yeah. But with Retrophones, the OG collection, 2,222.
That's it.
That's it. No more, no less.
Wicked. So then we're hoping they'll be quite collectible. First of a technology. Yeah. One of the only NFTs that has its own utility. I don't think a lot of people currently are thinking of NFTs as a utility. I think most people just think, oh, they're artwork. But this is actually far beyond just being artwork.
Yeah, and I think
this is useful.
This is useful, and I think that's the huge thing is when you talk to somebody who's not in crypto or not in blockchain about NFTs, they're like, what? So the digital piece of art that someone's replicated 1,000 times has value. And in reality, as our generation and the generations after us now, we can appreciate digital art. We can see that somebody spent as much time creating a digital piece of art as they would a physical piece of art that is attached to a blockchain address rather than drawn with pigments of ink on a picture frame. And I think that essentially is the value in NFTs right now. But what we're doing is adding another layer so that it means that the value of the NFT corresponds to the asset that's potentially can be held on it.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So you mentioned developing a DApp somewhere that you'll have a wallet to store the NFT and send messages from. Is there somewhere in the meantime that you'll be able to send messages between the Retrophones?
Yes. So right now, whilst it's the utility is being created, is at the final stages, we have retrophones.com, which is essentially the front end website for our NFT collection. Yep. And we have retrophones.io, which will be what I would say is the back end of where you will be able to access your utility for Retrophones, where you'll be able to link your wallet with Doge, which will sign you into what I could describe as your inbox, much like you look at Telegram. If you can vision it like that, with a couple other capabilities. We will put an image up on screen of what that's going to look like, which will appear. But you'll essentially you'll be able to see how many messages you've sent, how many you've received. You'll be able to broadcast messages, and you'll see those down the left-hand side of the screen. And then you'll also have your encrypted messages between all the people you've talked to. Okay. And then when you get new messages, the NFT corresponding to that message will pop up. Cool. And then you'll be able to decrypt that with a pin sent from that sender. Nice. So every single NFT essentially is encrypted between the sender and the recipient.
Cool. Well, that brings me on nicely onto security. I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah.
So a lot of people, obviously privacy is a big concern now. A lot of people are asking for privacy. They're not liking people spying or reading their messages. So are these messages going to be encrypted? And if so, how are they going to be encrypted?
So that's a very good question, and I think Edward Snowden kind of opened the whole can of worms here. And much like everything we do nowadays, from your phone, your computers, cookies, everything you're doing is essentially being used to form some form of intellectual brain, whether that's Google Brain or wherever you're browsing, which is why VPNs are always great. So Yes, they are going to be encrypted initially. In the future, it will be SHA-256, but to begin with, they'll be on-chain. So they will essentially just be stored on-chain. We will then use IPFS, or we'll use Filecoin to keep that data stored off-chain. And then when somebody sends a message, it will be authenticated essentially by their public key. And then they'll use their private key to essentially decrypt the message initially.
So only your phone would be able to read a message that's been sent to you?
Yes, and you will then only be able to open it with a PIN code to begin with. So like if you're sending me a message, you would say, whether we speak or however you want to do it, you could put a PIN code on it to say, this is the PIN code to open up a message.
Communication,
and then you're adding another layer. But as that changes, we'll look to incorporate it on Android and iOS so that you can use facial recognition, and then add in potentially other layers. So think of it like privacy first Twitter or the Telegram of NFTs.
It's like and I think that the Telegram of NFT is a good way of putting it. So it'll be a secure, encrypted way of messaging between friends.
Exactly, like Telegram is practically where we want to be, but just another layer, another layer on top of Telegram.
So I guess from here on, keep an eye on the website.
Keep an eye on the website, follow the Twitter, and just make sure you grab a couple, and get on board, get ready.
Oh, talking about grabbing a couple, how much are they?
How much are they? Very good question.
And where are they for sale? We should probably mention that.
So right now, initially as we've launched on Doge, they are on doggy.market. They are also on Ordinal's wallet, the Doge Ordinal's wallet. You'll see links on our Twitter, so you can grab them there. They are 100 Doge, which is roughly $11, $12 right now. That could change, but approximately those figures. So yeah, come and grab some, come and get some.
Wicked. And everyone has the same utility, the same?
No, that's another good question. We do have a white paper on our website, so you can read everything about what we're doing. So there are different rarities. There is one mythic, then there's 11 legendaries, then there's 111 epics, and then rares, commons, uncommons. Once we have fully launched and all of the NFTs are in circulation, we'll then release a token which will be airdropped to all our holders. So I think 60 to 80% of all tokens will be airdropped to our holders. Then you'll be able to stake your NFTs, and the legendaries and the mythics and the epics will have a multiplier far greater than the commons, uncommons.
So there's a reward for those.
There's a reward, so you'll gain more tokens, and then those, just to briefly touch on it, when you broadcast messages or you want to store larger files in the future, you will essentially pay a very small fee in Doge, which will be taken from your wallet. That will be put into what will be the Retrophones kind of ecosystem, and then anybody that stakes their NFTs, they're all going to be getting a piece of all the transactions. So we won't take
community.
All will go back to the community. So retrospectively, the more you hold, the more residual income you could earn.
Wicked. Right, great concept, great idea.
Thank you.
So that's I think that wraps it up really. So check out retrophones.com.
Join us.
Join the movement.
Yeah. Cheers, guys. Cheers.